Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here from Valley Children's Stadium in Fresno, California, home of the Fresno State Bulldogs. And look, we try to do everything in our power to get a better view for this video. We tried to get into the stadium, we tried to find some better shot here, but the stadium's under heavy renovations, heavy construction right now as Fresno State is putting down brand new turf for the 2025 season. But that's not the only historic thing happening for Fresno State football this year. They are under a brand new head coach, the first year under Matt Entz, who was phenomenal during his time as head coach at North Dakota State, winning national championships in 2019 and 2021, and was also the national championship runner-up in 2023. This guy is a proven winner and a fantastic head coach and will do phenomenal things here in Fresno. But it's not just that. This is the final year for Fresno State in the Mountain West Conference before themselves and a handful of their other conference members go to join the new Pac-12 in 2026. So a massive year for this football program as we enter the 2025 season. And of course, we're here today to bring you their 2025 schedule predictions. Before we do that, let's take a look at the roster. The offense, a brand new look under Matt Entz. They've got a new quarterback in E.J. Werner, the son of legendary pro quarterback Kurt Werner. And look, this is a guy who can ball. Played pretty solid during his time at Temple, pretty solid during his time at Rice. 3-year collegiate career, has thrown for over 8,800 yards, 58 touchdowns, but has also thrown 37 interceptions. So he's averaging a little over 12 interceptions per year in his collegiate career. He's got to cut down on that if Fresno State wants to have success in their final season in the Mountain West. They have a brand new core of wide receivers after losing their top 3 from last year. Josiah Ayon, though, from Western Colorado, could be a very big threat this season. And I should also mention, while we were talking about E.J. Werner, he's not the bona fide starter. He's not locked in at this spot. They have Carson Conklin, the transfer from Sacramento State, who threw for over 3,600 yards and 34 touchdowns last year. Could be an intriguing battle throughout the summer as we approach this closer start to the season. Again, this is being filmed well before their season opener in week 0. But regardless, interesting quarterback battle happening here in Fresno. The biggest thing, though, offensively, they've got to improve their rushing attack. Fresno State was 5-0 last year when they rushed for at least 120 yards. They were 0-5 when they were held to 90 rushing yards or less. They've got to improve the brand new offensive line. Bryson Donaldson averaged 6 yards per carry last year, going to be the workhorse. Again, a new look offense with a lot of talent, but also a handful of unknowns as well. The defense, looking pretty good. The defensive line looks really, really solid. Added Martin Owusu from Minnesota, who's going to anchor that defensive line. Jaden Pearson comes in at linebacker from Utah State, where he had to put up some very good stats. And the secondary looking very good for the Bulldogs this year. Very talented, very deep in the secondary. Alzillian Hamilton is a guy you need to know the name of and a guy you need to watch out for entering this 2025 season. So we take a look at their schedule. They open up in week 0, so it won't be long before you get to see Fresno State in action. They open up the year on the road at Kansas. An intriguing matchup there, and a game that I think could be pretty close as Kansas is coming off a fairly disappointing 2024 campaign. But they do return their star quarterback, Jalen Daniels, and Kansas will be opening their brand new stadium. Remember last year, the Jayhawks were playing in a bunch of different stadiums throughout the season, Kansas City for a little bit. Now they get to be back home, newly renovated. The crowd's going to be electric. First game of the year. I just don't see the Jayhawks dropping this one, especially with their veteran quarterback returning and a handful of key transfers. It will be close. Fresno State can hold their own, but the Jayhawks get the win, and Fresno State is 0-1. I do think they bounce back, though. Their first home game back here in Fresno with that new turf, they're going to beat Georgia Southern, a team that won 8 games last year and returns their veteran quarterback in J.C. French, but loses a lot of offensive playmakers, and their defense, not good. They allowed at least 28 points in 6 of their games last year. Back home with a game already under their belt. This will be Georgia Southern's first game. Fresno State will already have a game to work out the kinks, see what this team's made of. Matt Entz, a game under his belt. They win this game at home. They're 1-1. They then go on the road to take on Oregon State. They'll be conference members next year. The new Pac-12, Washington State and Oregon State, they'll be joined by Fresno State, Boise State, and a handful of others. So a little bit of a preview for what we could see in 2026 and beyond. This is a sneaky good Beavers team, though. Malik Murphy transferring in from Duke, was at Texas, then at Duke, now at Oregon State. They've got a competent quarterback. They've got a 1,000-yard rusher in Anthony Hankerson. This is a underrated, again, Oregon State squad that could challenge for a postseason spot, especially with an interesting schedule. I just don't think Fresno State has enough to win this game on the road. Corvallis, a much more difficult place to play than people give them credit for. The Bulldogs dropped this game. They're 1-2, but then, of course, bounce back with a win over Southern at home. They're 2-2. 4 games in, a third of the way through the season, they're at 500. Now we enter Mountain West Conference play. And actually, it's a good thing for Fresno State. The schedule is really, really good for them. They open up on September 20th at Hawaii, a team that went 5-7 last year and actually beat Fresno State 21-20 in 2024. It's kind of an inexcusable loss for the Bulldogs. That won't happen again under Matt Entz. Yeah, they have to go all the way to Hawaii. It's a long flight, things like that. But the Rainbow Warriors still have a lot of questions defensively. They're just not that good on that side of the ball. And I think this offense is going to have a couple of games to work out some issues. Lights up the Rainbow Warriors defense. They get the win on the road. Revenge from last year's embarrassing loss. 3-2 entering their first bye week. And coming out of the bye, they take on one of the worst teams in the Mountain West, who's still under a massive rebuild, Nevada, who went 3-10 last year. Fresno State should win this game with ease, even though they didn't last year, only winning 24-21. Again, closer than last year than it should have been. Not going to be the case this year, especially at home off a week of rest. They are now 4-2 before going on the road to take on Colorado State. Now, we know the Rams had a pretty surprising year last year, finally breaking through, reaching a bowl game, very underrated offense. And we know Fort Collins is not an easy place to play either. They returned their veteran quarterback, Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, and they returned Avery Morrow, who was a 1,000-yard rusher for the Rams. They went 8-5 last year, Colorado State did. They are a team that could challenge for a Mountain West title in their final year in the conference as well. I like this Rams team a lot. I don't like Fresno State going on the road to face this team that has a lot of veteran leadership. I think they drop this game to the Rams, and they are 4-3 heading in to another bye week. But the reward, after another bye week, is facing one of the worst teams in the conference again in San Diego State. The Aztecs just 3-9 last year, still under a major rebuild, kind of in a similar spot as Nevada. Fresno State getting them off the week of rest, getting them at home. They're going to be 5-3 before going on the road to take on Boise State. This is a game that has massive conference title implications. Could be the first of 2 meetings between the Broncos and the Bulldogs. But look, this is the Boise State team. Everybody's going to go, oh, Ashton Genty's gone. Boise State won't be the same. That could not be further from the truth. The Broncos still are loaded at quarterback. They're loaded at running back. They're loaded on the defensive side of the ball. This is a team that, yes, Ashton Genty was the workhorse, but they did not get to the college football playoff strictly because of Ashton Genty. It took a team effort. 12-2 for Boise State last year. Now Fresno State going to the Smurf turf. Not a recipe for success. Not an easy place to play. They dropped this game to the Broncos. They're 5-4, but coming out of their bye week, their reward is 2 home games in their final 3 games. And they win both of those home games to clinch bowl eligibility and then some. They should cruise past Wyoming, one of the worst teams in the conference. Again, the Mountain West really not that deep of a conference here. Boise State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Air Force on occasion, not bad, but still not all that great. Wyoming just 3-9 last year, off a week of rest against a weak opponent. Fresno State wins. Then Utah State on Senior Day here in Fresno. They win this game over the Aggies, who went 4-8 last year. So they're 7-4 going into their season finale on the road at San Jose State. And this is where things could get a little bit interesting. At this point, you look at it, Fresno State's got 2 conference losses. They could be in the running for that second spot behind Boise State. They could be challenging for that second spot with San Jose State, with Colorado State. We don't know at this point. San Jose State, a team that kind of surprised last year. Ken Numatalolo comes in here, exceeds expectations, gets them to a bowl game, 7-6 last year for the Spartans. They return plenty of talent, including their quarterback Walter Eggett, but they lose the Triple Crown winner wide receiver Nick Nash, and they lose tons on defense. Fresno State, to me, is a more well-rounded team, and coaching-wise, you could argue Matt Entz, although he's coaching his first head coaching gig at the D1 FBS level, could own the slight edge over Ken Numatalolo, who has way more experience. I like the Bulldogs quite a bit in this game. They did win this game last year, 33-10 over the Spartans. I think it's a little bit closer this time around. They do get the win, and Fresno State finishes their first year under Matt Entz, their final year in the Mountain West at 8-4. 2 of those losses coming in non-conference play. Will 2 conference losses be enough to get them into the Mountain West Championship, where they more than likely will play Boise State, or will they fall just short? Regardless, it's a much better season than they had last year. The Bulldogs went just 6-7. They had 5 one-possession losses. They had that wild bowl loss in Northern Illinois, 28-20 in double overtime. Sour taste in their mouth. This year, not going to be the case. Matt Entz lays a solid foundation in his first year with the program, and now they're ready to take that next step into the Pac-12 into 2026, where the Bulldogs will be a force to be reckoned with for many years to come. So once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube, live from Fresno, live from Valley Children's Stadium. Again, wish we could have been further inside, but the field looks like a mess right now with that turf renovations. Best we could do, still think it's pretty dang good enough. Week 0, Fresno State and Kansas, you're not going to want to miss it. This is going to be a very, very fun team to watch. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on thegridironexpert.com. Definitely don't want to miss out on those as we get closer and closer to the start of this season. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.